Mr. Davis. My name is Kate. I'm a respiratory care student here, and I'm going to show you how to set up or use your oxygen tank, go over some safety measures, and also put a regulator on it, okay? First off, I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands. And we have an E-cylinder oxygen tank here. It's in a secure trolley here that we have. It's in an upright position. You always want to make sure it's stored upright in a cool, dry location. All right. Oxygen does support combustion, so we always want to make sure those safety precautions are in place. We do have. I'm going to show you how to set up your regulator. So I want to make sure also that we always have the right medical gas that we're using. So this is oxygen. We know that because of the green tank. Also, we can read on here that that's oxygen. All right. We also have oxygen regulator. We use the pin safety index system. So here's the pins here. This is an O-ring. That's going to come in handy if we have a leak in the regulator. We're always going to want to first off make sure that the regulator is on properly, but then also we can always replace this O-ring. So these oxygen canisters here, or oxygen tanks, have plastic wrap that would be around it. We go ahead and just pull the tab, remove the plastic. You can see this plastic tab, there's an O-ring. They have an extra one just in case we have that leak and we need to replace it, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and connect this regulator. We'll make sure the pins are in properly. Tighten it here. Okay, so that's nice and tight on. I want to make sure I can read the gauge here as well. All right, and we'll go ahead and we'll crack the cylinder. I'll use my wrench. We'll go ahead and turn it on. We see that the PSI bumps up all the way to 2,000. So now that we know the gas flow is going and the tank is on, and we can go ahead and adjust the flow. You hear it there. On our big tanks, on our E-cylinders, or on our H cylinders, it might make a nice loud sound. So anytime we crack the tank, we make sure and tell everybody we're just cracking the tank, make sure, and we'll go ahead and do that. We just want to make sure there's no debris or anything in there, okay? So now I'm going to go over how long this tank's going to last you. We can see that it's full. It's at 2,000 PSI. What we need to do is get the PSI, the pressure, we times it by the cylinder coefficient, which for an E tank here is 0.28. For our larger tanks, for an H tank, it's going to be 3.14. And so we'll go ahead and times the pressure times the cylinder coefficient and divide it by the flow that you're using it at. So your flow here is at 2. So we'll go ahead and 2,000 times 0.28 and divide that all by 2, which is going to be 280 minutes. So to know how long that is, divide by 60, and it's going to be roughly about 4.5 hours. Okay? So now I'm going to show you how to take this regulator off. By the way, we know there would be a leak if we heard, I have the flow shut at 0. If we heard some oxygen going through the gas moving, then we would know that there's a leak. So we would make sure we shut off the tank, check that the regulator's on properly, tightened, and then also check that O-ring, okay, and replace if necessary. So I'm going to safely take off this regulator. I'll go ahead and shut off the gas. Off, all right, and we'll go ahead and bleed it out. You see that it's bleeding out because we can see that the pressure is slowly going down. And also we know that it's empty when the pressure reads 0 and when you don't hear any oxygen going through anymore. So now we can safely take off this regulator. Okay, disconnect that. I want to show show you here that I have a Thorpe tube. This is a compensated Thorpe tube, and I'll show you how we know that real quick here. It's for oxygen as well, color coded, along with our supply on the wall, oxygen, air, and vacuum, green, yellow, and white. And I'll go ahead and show you. We're just going to insert the Thorpe tube to the wall. When we did that, we can tell it's compensated. One, by where this nozzle is, but two, also we saw that the ball jumped up, okay? So we know that the pressure is going in, and we're gonna regulate it afterwards. So I'll go ahead and ensure that the air is coming through. There we are. You can see that the ball went up, and you can see that we have proper flow. To take the Thorpe tube out, we'll shut it off, and then we're just gonna press it, and there it is.